I am really upset, and here's the reason why. Hi guys, Mark and Paulette here, two travelers in Mexico, and today we wanted to talk to you about our ride coming back from San Antonio, because our last video we had sold our car to Carvana, so now we were carless. So we knew either we were going to take a last-minute plane flight, which would have been cha-ching-ching expensive coming back home, or the bus.
Yep.
So if you guys know me, I got...
Yeah, if you know Paulette,
I'm a tightwad.
She was way too cheap to pay for plane tickets, so guess what we were on? The bus.
Yeah, so we decided to take the bus back.
Mm-hmm. And what bus did we take back?
We took the Greyhound. Never rode Greyhound before, have you?
Yeah, I rode it many years ago, and it wasn't that great of experience, and so...
It wasn't a bad experience on the bus.
No, but when I rode it like 40 years ago, it wasn't that great. But
wow, so you were about 20 when you rode it? 24?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
23?
Yeah. So,
okay.
Let's talk about first getting tickets for the bus.
I went online because I heard that there was a couple of different bus lines that could take you into Mexico. One was Omnibus. You could go through like different bus links, websites, like one was Flexbus, I think, Omnibus, Bus Bud is another one. So anyhow, I looked at all of these, where Mark, I think, was watching a game on his laptop probably.
Yep.
So this was still at Texas at our friend's house, a day or two before we ended up selling our car. So I got online, found the tickets, found a time, and this was kind of in the afternoon that it left, like at 1:40 p.m. So it was supposed to be a direct. It was a direct one. There were some that were not direct, where you had to switch buses, but it only gave you like 15 minutes. Well, me not knowing how big the terminal is, getting our luggage off, yada yada, I didn't know whether that would be enough time. So we kind of talked about it. I shared all that with you, and we thought, well, let's just take the later one at 1:40, and that way it was a direct bus.
Yeah, supposedly direct, but yeah.
So that's what I did. So booked the tickets online, paid for them. I think now I have a lot of different charges on my charge card that I used, but I think they were $75 and change for the two of us. So I went ahead and I booked it. Looking online, it said that you could each have a carry-on and you could each have 2 stowaway bags underneath. So that was fine. We only had 1 suitcase each anyhow, and it wasn't a big one. It was like the carry-on size that you could do on the airplanes. So
go ahead. But we had picked up some stuff, and we were concerned about our suitcases being overweight.
Because it said 50 pounds.
Right.
And we didn't have a scale to weigh them on, really.
Right.
So we thought, well, we'll just pick up another suitcase. Yeah. I told him, just pick up a hand carry-on. But he thought, no, a suitcase. So we did a suitcase. Went to Ross, got a couple of things, and the suitcase was one of them. We paid like $44 for it. It's one of those soft ones. It's not a hard suitcase, just something. So we put some of our stuff in it, again, not knowing how much our suitcases weighed. Were they 50 pounds? I didn't think so, but I wasn't sure. This way we would be on the safe side. So we went ahead and transported some of our stuff from our suitcases into the 3rd suitcase that we bought. Right?
Yeah.
All right. So then we Ubered over to Greyhound, and the terminal was fine. I guess some Greyhound or some bus terminals, I've been told, and I've seen myself are kind of, I wouldn't say in a shady area, but not the best areas of town. They're kind of, you know, maybe sketchy a little bit. I don't know. What did you think of this bus terminal in San Antonio?
Well, it was about how I remember Greyhound bus terminals, like you described it. Kind of in a little sketchy area. Not
well, we're not all that familiar with San Antonio, so we don't really know for sure.
Yeah, but it just seemed like it.
Yeah, it seemed like it. So we went ahead, went inside, got there early. Why did we get there early? Oh, because the night before we stayed at a hotel. After we sold our car on a Tuesday to Carvana, we Ubered it over to a hotel because I tried to find a place that was close to the bus terminal. It made more sense. So that's what we did. So we left the hotel, got picked up by Uber at like checkout time, which was I think 11 in the morning, and our bus didn't leave until 1:40, but what were we gonna do?
Yeah.
So we Ubered it over there and basically hung out at the bus station for a while. And we had breakfast there. That was like $20 for 2 breakfast sandwiches and 2 coffees.
Right, the food wasn't that bad.
No.
Though I think it was expensive for what you got, but the food actually tasted
You know,
pretty
that's
good.
the thing. Airports, bus terminals, things like that, you're always going to end up paying more than you think. But again, you know, we were in the U.S. too, so we're not used to the Mexican prices that we would normally pay.
Yeah.
So anyhow, so we're there waiting and stuff, and I get like a text message from Greyhound. Well, after I booked the tickets, I got a text message from Greyhound, you know, saying, thank you for your purchase, a confirmation, blah, 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 whatever. So that was fine. Well, we were sitting there the next day at the bus terminal. I got like an email, or I guess it was an email, not a text, an email, and I opened it up, and it was from Greyhound saying, you know, confirmation what time our bus left. And it also said that we were allowed to have 1 carry-on each and 1 baggage to check in, to stow away underneath. Now that was a shock, because when I was online, it said 2 each.
Right.
That's why we bought the 3rd suitcase.
Right.
So I went up to one of the guys that worked there, and I said, hey, can I ask you a question? I just got this text message from you guys, from Greyhound, saying that, you know, blah, blah, blah. 1 carry-on, 1 stowed away underneath. And I said, but when I got online and I booked my ticket, it said 1 carry-on and 2 stow away for 1 person, 2 for the other, which was a total of 4. And we had 3 bags. And he said, well, all I know is that it's 1 each person. And I said, well, your site doesn't say that. Your site says 2 per person. And he goes, well, I don't know what to tell you. That's all I know. You'll have to take it up with the supervisor. Okay, I'll take it up with the supervisor. So I have to wet my whistle just a second.
Yeah. But I had pulled up the website where it clearly stated that you get to stow 2 bags underneath the bus. So Paulette took my phone along with the website that I pulled up that shows that, and she went to talk to the supervisor.
I went to go talk to the supervisor. So I wasn't sure who the supervisor was, so I went over to like this counter area that they had there. So I went over by the counter, and there was a couple of employees there, and then one person asked me what I needed help with. And I started to explain to them what the situation was. Well, apparently he was the supervisor. So I told him my situation, explained it very detailed, got online, booked my tickets. Your site said that you could have 2 bags each stored underneath and 1 carry-on each. However, now I got this email while I'm sitting here waiting to board in the next half hour that tells me, oh no, you can only have 1 each. And I'm saying that's not right. That's contradicting itself. And we had already gone out and got another suitcase. And he basically said that I guess Greyhound got bought out a while ago, and the site information had not been updated, and the information on there again had not been updated, and it was only one bag that we were allowed on the bus to store. Well, I said, you know, that's not right. You should be honoring this because this is what your site tells people when they're booking their ticket. And he said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. And so, you know, I can get rambunctious, and I can get, you know, I mean, if I'm arguing with somebody and they don't have a valid point on something like this, I will start to become unglued and a little bit of unhinged sometimes if I'm not getting my point across that I'm trying to make, which I was trying to make to him. So he basically said, no, it's one suitcase each. I go, well, I have a third suitcase. He goes, well, then you're going to have to pay extra for the suitcase. And that's what the site said. If you had an extra suitcase, other than the two, you had to pay a fee. So I wasn't happy about that either, because why should I pay a fee when your online said that? So I went back and I told Mark what the guy said, the supervisor. So then Mark went over to talk to the supervisor too, while I sat there with our luggage waiting. And Mark came back and he said, nope, he's not gonna make any exceptions. He's not gonna do anything about it.
Right, and I brought up a couple of things with him. Number one, I felt that there was false advertising going on. If the website says you book your tickets online, you expect to get 2 suitcases underneath the bus. And he said, no, that's not false advertising, because that's just our new thing that we're doing here.
Yeah, he just said the site just hasn't updated. The site hasn't fixed the
and I think
information.
You brought up, you know, what if you were to go into a store
let me get to that. So then Mark came back and said that, and I go, you know what? That's not right. And that's my big thing. If something's not right, I'm going to fight you to the tooth and what is it? What's the saying?
You're going to fight tooth and nail.
Tooth and nail. I was going to say tooth and bone.
Yeah,
I always get those.
You witnessed another Martinezism there. That's.
But that didn't make any sense. So I said, no, that's not right. So I left Mark with the suitcases, went over to him one more time, and I said, you know what? I got to tell you, this is not right what you're doing here to customers. It's not right at all. I booked my stuff online. This is what the information said. I even had showed it to him the first time. Mark showed it to him, right, the second time?
Yeah.
And I showed it to him now a third time. And I said, that's not right. You need to honor this to your customers that are here. And he said, I'm not going to do that. This is our policy. And I go, well, your policy doesn't say that online when you book your ticket.
Yeah.
It just says that what you're allowed. And he turned around and he threatened me. He said, you know what? If you keep this up, you're not riding on the bus.
Yeah, he was going to kick us off the bus.
Even though we hadn't got on yet.
Even though we hadn't got on, yeah, he was not going to let us ride
Yeah,
the bus.
he's like, you're not going to ride the bus. And I thought, what?
Yeah.
Are you serious? So with that, which is so hard for me, zip, I had to zip it up.
Yeah.
I couldn't go any further because we had to get back to Mexico. So I just thought, wow, are you serious? I was like blown away. So I go back, tell Mark, you know, what he said, how he threatened that we couldn't ride the bus, or I couldn't ride the bus, which meant he wouldn't ride the bus without me. So I took my wallet, I took my charge card up there with me and my phone, and I went up to the counter and I told him, you know, I have to buy another, I have to pay for a third bag per your supervisor. Even though it doesn't say that on your website when I booked my ticket.
Yeah.
And so he was neutral, like he didn't say anything at all. So went ahead and gave him my charge card, and it was like $19.99 for an extra bag. Now here's the weird thing. He gives me a printed out receipt, and he hands me 5 tags for my suitcases. I'm like, I only have 3. And he goes, well, you have 5 now. You have 5 tags for your suitcases. I don't have 5 suitcases. So I thought, what? All right, so I had my receipt. He gave me the paper receipt. Then he gave me the printout receipt. I took that back with me, and then I told Mark what had happened, and I told him, you know what I feel like doing? Is I feel like going up to some of these people that might have extra bags that are gonna pay, that might have to pay, and just handing them my ticket, the tag, because I had 2 extra ones that I didn't need. But he said, well, if that supervisor catches me,
right,
we might be off that bus. Mark says, well, you better not do that just in case he sees that. So I didn't. So now it was time for us to go ahead and stand in line. There was like an A, B, and C line, depending on where you were going. So we got in our line to go to Mexico. And I am not kidding you. I should have taken pictures of this, but I did not. These suitcases that people had to be easily over 50 pounds.
Yeah.
Easily. They were humongous suitcases that people had. And I looked at Mark going, what? I mean, here we try to abide by the rule, what they said, blah, 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 not knowing how it all would come down. I purchased another ticket because that's what it seemed like I had to do for that 3rd bag. So then as we're standing in line, I see that supervisor and a customer outside, like where you're waiting for the buses, where you would go outside and get on the right bus taking you to your destination. And I saw an altercation out there with another customer.
Not physical, but verbal.
Right, yeah. Verbal, going on. And I looked because it was kind of loud. The customer was kind of loud. And I never got loud. I just was talking to him in my regular voice, like I'm talking to you right now. Well, this person was loud. I could hear it, and the supervisor was with that person outside that area. And I was watching, and I was gonna try to get a picture, and I did click a few, but they're kind of blurred. And then they both came inside, and that customer was still talking to the supervisor. They were both, having a discussion going on. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, it wasn't just me that it happened to. I don't know what that was over though, but I know what mine was over. So anyhow, so then we go outside to get our stuff on the bus, and the customer loads their suitcases. So actually they have no idea how many suitcases are on there.
Yeah.
The customer loads their suitcases. The customer takes their suitcases off. Is that what we did? I can't remember. Or maybe they just pull them off and then you grab them. But there was really no tagging system, right. Although we were the only ones. We were the only ones that had the tags on our suitcase.
Right, and people were loading 2 or 3 or more suitcases under the bus by themselves. No one was paying attention.
Right, and I told Mark, had I had known, hindsight, right? Had I had known, I would not have bought that other, paid the $20 for an extra bag.
Right.
Because nobody had tags. People were just loading their bags. And, but you don't know. You don't know what the situation's going to be.
Yeah.
So I did the right thing that I was told to do.
Right. But I would say in general, the customer service at the Greyhound station in San Antonio was awful.
It sucked. It was really, really bad.
Right.
Excuse me, customer service for sure. And that was the thing that I brought up to the supervisor the 3rd time. I said, you know what? It's like if I go into a store if I go shopping and there's a sign that says that something's on sale for $1.99, okay? And I go up to the counter and they say, no, it's not on sale. And I go, well, you have a sign out there that says it's $1.99. And they say, well, it's not on sale. And I go, well, sure it is, because your sign is still there by that merchandise. They honor it. Mm-hmm. And so I told that to the supervisor. He goes, they don't have to honor it. They don't honor it.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of cocky.
Yeah.
You know, he was just really a horse's ass is what he was. I mean, rather than realizing this is a customer, let's, you know, honor what she's saying, even though I showed it to him too, what the site said with the amount of suitcases we could have, he still wasn't going to budge. He just said, nope, not going to happen. And I just think that's really poor service. So yesterday, I ended up getting a survey from Greyhound asking me about my experience. And I did tell him that the experience was pretty good. I mean, the bus driver was really good. He did announcements whenever we were stopping somewhere or what have you. And just to let you know, it wasn't a direct. No. We stopped at one location and everybody but us got off the bus.
Yeah, well, we stopped in Laredo.
We stopped in Laredo.
And everyone else but us got off the bus, figuring we stayed on because it's a direct bus. The driver gets on and asks if we're going, gets back on the bus, asks if we're going to Monterey, and we said yes, and then he points that we have to get off the bus and go to the bus next door.
Yeah, so we had to get our suitcases and then go on the bus that was next door that took us into.
So we get our suitcases, load them onto the next bus, get on the bus. That bus probably drives no more than about 200 feet to the other side of the border where immigration is on the Mexico side of the border. At which point they remove everybody's luggage off the bus.
That was interesting. That was very interesting, and we'll give you our perspective, what you should do, and not what we did.
Well, not what we did. Yeah, we did not do it the best possible way, for sure. So we get off the bus, we grab all of our luggage.
No, they took all of our luggage off.
Well, yeah, they took all of our luggage out.
Everybody's luggage was on the sidewalk right there.
We had to get our backpacks, we had to pick up our luggage off the sidewalk, go through I&M, get all of our stuff scanned and rechecked.
Like an airport.
Yeah.
Basically an airport. You know, you put your stuff in the bucket, you run your suitcases through the conveyor belt that x-rays it. However, it just wasn't us. It was 2 or 3 other buses that were doing the same thing.
Right. So we go through all that, get through the other side of immigration, load our bags back onto the bus down below. We took our backpacks up to our assigned seats. We sat there for an hour
and a half.
An hour and a half. And no one really knew what was going on at first, and then we were informed that apparently someone was having some sort of an immigration issue.
So there was a guy that we were talking to, and he explained to us that he thought what had happened was there was a guy there from that was on the bus that had purchased a bunch of stuff that had tags on it, and so he was having to pay importation fees, and he was being held up. So shortly after that, the bus driver got back on after an hour and a half, and he just backed out the bus. But before he did that, the other guy got off.
Yeah, so we think he got left behind.
Because he had another bus. He was going to go to Monterey and then to Mexico City, and he wasn't going to meet his connection bus.
Right.
So he said, well, just a minute, I need to see about something about my bus and what to do. So he got off, and I don't know whether he got his luggage from underneath or what, but after he got off, about 2 minutes later, that bus backed up, left that one man there in immigration that was dealing with importation fees or something in immigrations, and then we just took off at that point.
Right. So the rest of our trip to Monterey was pretty uneventful. We arrived at the bus station, and then we got late, and then we got
an hour and a half late. So
a taxi to a hotel that we had booked. However, we want to talk about what we should have done and what I think you guys should do.
And 2 of my subscribers told me after the fact.
After the fact. But good information later is still good information for others to follow. So we should have ridden the Greyhound only to Laredo. So you get off at Laredo, you walk across the border carrying your bags, you go through I&M and the Nuevo Laredo station, and then from there you just take a taxi to the regular
bus terminal.
Bus terminal, yeah.
That will take you on to Monterey. Or you could get a ticket, I suppose, all the way into San Luis Potosí, or wherever you're going. But at that point, I knew that I don't like to travel at night on the bus. I just don't. You know, especially when there's some activities that are going on. And thank God we didn't, you know, experience anything like that whatsoever. But our bus was supposed to arrive at 7:30 at the Greyhound terminal in Monterey, and it arrived at about 9.
Yeah.
But it worked out really well. There was a taxi lady out there, and she drove us right over to the hotel that we needed to be at, and that worked out fine.
Right. But by doing that, you save yourself the issue of being hung up because of someone else's immigration issue.
Or, you know, like I said, there was more than one bus that was going into Mexico too. So all those people on the buses are going through the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe they get caught up with the other people, so now your people on your bus are behind the people from the other bus, and yada, yada, yada. It gets a longer time.
So I would say, like, as far as comfort on a Greyhound bus, it actually wasn't bad. As far as customer service on a Greyhound bus, it would be 2 thumbs down.
Now, I never used the bathroom. You did. Were the bathrooms clean?
It was okay. It was just a pretty average bus bathroom.
They're small, like on an airplane, right? Yeah, they're small, like on an airplane. But yeah, oh, one other thing, we also paid $5 each for picking out our seats on the Greyhound. Yeah. Because I had no idea. We wanted to sit together. And one time we experienced where we couldn't sit together, and it was a long bus drive, and we didn't want to ever experience that again. So I ended up paying the $5 extra for that. But there are plenty of seats that were open, plenty. But again, you know, hindsight, you don't know that. Yeah. So you do the right thing and you pick your seats and you get them together.
All in all, we spent more money than we probably needed to getting back. I mean, because we probably didn't really need to pay for the extra bag because no one was checking them. But, you know, we chose to do what in our minds was the right thing, even though Greyhound was kind of screwing us over on that.
Well, the supervisor was, again, a horse's ass.
Yeah.
And what else was I going to say? Oh, and then, so I'm going to deal with the customer service at Greyhound over this $19.99 for the extra suitcase. Yeah. And then there's 2 other charges that are on there for like $29 each that I'm not sure if that was part of our ticket or what. I don't think so, but I'm not quite sure, because when I looked online I thought they were about $95 for 2, but I'm not sure what these 2 charges are for $26. I think there's 2 charges, 1 or 2 for $26.
Right, but you said there was a charge for like $75, which
$75 for the ticket. Yeah. But I thought the tickets were $95 when I booked them online. Anyhow, so I'm going to deal with customer service during the week and see what happens, because I feel like I should definitely get reimbursed for that extra suitcase. Yeah. You know, until they fix their site, that's not the customer's fault by any means, nor should the customers have to pay an extra fee. Yep. All right. So here's how it went down with the customer service people. I was online on their site chatting, and I explained to them that I needed to get a refund because I was charged $19.99 for a 3rd suitcase, and they said that they needed my email and my confirmation number and all that stuff. So I had it on my phone, sent it to them, and circled where it showed for 2 people, 2 carry-ons, and 4 stowaway luggages, suitcases, bags, whatever you want to call them. So we went back and forth several times, and they said, sorry, there is a glitch in the system, therefore you will not be getting a refund. They said, go to our policy online. So that's how it ended. I did not get my $19.99 back for that 3rd suitcase. They weren't going to hold to what their site said when you go online to book your tickets. And that's how they want to do business with customers. That was my first time and probably my last time riding with Greyhound. So we hope this video helped you guys. If anybody's planning on taking the bus back into Mexico from San Antonio or from wherever, we hope that you found this informational. And as always, from the 2 travelers in Mexico,
what she did.
bye guys.
Bye.